Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming, and Sunny Mountain Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you on the Let's Play episode of Heroes Advent, Kody's Path. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go! Alright, Ryan and I will go out and hunt some game meat for dinner and breakfast tomorrow. We'll stay here to keep watch over the tree and the readings. Stay in contact with your phones. They still work out here? With the Akai functioning like the GC, things that worked in the city should work as they should here, at least in theory. We've managed without these fancy gadgets before. We'll be fine. As you say, don't stay out there too late. We shouldn't split up for too long. Alright. He stayed behind, watching Max and Ray depart together for the woods, bickering and bantering as they crossed the tree line out of sight. Those two never changed, did they? Not one bit. Still as bone-headed as ever. I'm heading back to the tree to keep track of the crystal readouts. Call me if anything comes up, Kody. Oh, same to you, Alex. If you think something's off, come get me right away. With a curt nod, Alex headed off to the Akai's base where his machine had been whirring away. He turned back to Kody to see him already setting himself up to put away what remained of the meal, unceremoniously pouring the mochi gruel into the fire, careful not to put it out. Even you didn't like it, huh? It's useful for emergency rations, but I'll take freshly cooked any day. No arguments there. Your food's always a welcoming sight. Glad you approve of it so highly, Cassian. But you should try my chef special sometime. Guarantee it's gonna be even better. Given all the things I've heard, I'd rather not. Why does everyone always say that? He grabbed one of the water jugs and helped Kody wash the wooden plates and utensils while he washed out his pot. It didn't take long for you both to finish, setting them aside for dinner. You took a seat on one of the logs Max had brought closer for seating. Kody, however, continued to putter about, grabbing some of the satchels of ingredients he brought with him, pouring out a few root vegetables and non-perishables. The bear looked like he was already raring to start preparations for dinner. You watched him for a moment, seemingly lost in his work. Even with the bothersome armor on, he seemed no less dexterous than he was in the kitchen. Back in his element, even if the workload was lighter as he only tended to one pot at a time, as opposed to all the burners and counters back in the honeysuckle. Come to think of it, ever since he started helping with the Nether investigation, Kody always seemed most eager to get back to his kitchen at the end of the day. Do you just not like this mercenary life, Kody? You found yourself saying the quiet part aloud as Kody paused to look at you, while scraping the vegetable he had just diced into a pan. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. It's not that I don't like the mercenary life, Cassian, but I don't think I'm cut out for it anymore. I mean, Max and Ray seem to think you are. So does Alaric. You all used to be a team after all. What happened? Is it really important, Cassian? We're together as a team again, and they've welcomed me back readily. What more is there to talk about? Yeah, they're more than happy to have you back, and yet you were still so reluctant to return. The bear frowned, looking back to his cutting board, avoiding your gaze entirely. Oh, yeah. He reached over, grabbing one of the knives in his leather kit, along with one of the larger vegetables to join him. There wasn't another word exchanged between you for a while. The atmosphere around the crackling campfire has become tense. You split your attention between Kody and your work, handing him the ingredients you finished to pour into the pots. It wasn't until the first pot began to simmer that he finally broke the silence. Where would I even begin? Well, the beginning is always a good place to start. The beginning? Cody's face scrunched up at the thought, already making the difficult subject even harder to approach. How did you become a part of the team in the first place? Kody visibly relaxed, sitting up and making eye contact with you. Would you believe that I came here for the same reason I'm here now? Not here with the team, that is, but back at the Honeysuckle. I had aspirations to open a restaurant in Crystal Coast, given everything I heard from the traveling merchants. It seemed like a good place to start a business with the ongoing war. Everyone has to eat, right? Sounds pretty straightforward. You'd think. They told me that in Steklograd, people spoke many languages, but you'd be lucky to find anyone speaking Svobodian. Steklograd? Is that Crystal Coast? Back home, that was what we called this city. Right, I guess things weren't exactly easy when you first got here. Oh, it was hard at first, that's for sure. Language barrier and all that. Just as well, our customs are rather foreign to those here. I found it difficult to express myself well. They say Crystal Coast was lucrative, but only for business that has established commerce. Opening a new business wasn't really as clear-cut as it seemed. With the war on the Evil King, I can imagine. Didn't you consider that? Oh, it's like, my eye is itching. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I guess I was taken in by the merchant's honeyed words and fantastical projections. The bear falling for the honey trap. Yes, Rise made that joke to me already. What did you do? I joined the academy so I could take on work as a mercenary. I'd almost say completing the course was harder than finding a foothold in the market. Is the academy that hard? Indeed it is. It is a matter of life and death. They stress that to us a lot. Something I had to hear twice over after having to repeat the regiment my first year. You were held back? Yes, my lack of familiarity with the language made the scholar side of my education slow. But the added year helped me better understand the language. I am grateful for that. It was then when Alaric noticed my potential and paired me with Ray and Max as a team. They had already worked well together. Alaric believed that they could help me feel more welcome. And did they make you feel welcomed? Indeed. A tinge of pink seemed to adorn the bear's cheeks as the memories come to him. Yes, they made me feel very welcomed, especially Rye. The bear let out a chuff as he smiled openly from cheek to cheek. I hope we've made you feel welcome too, Cassian. Of course. Kody looked back down at the pot, stirring it around, smiling placidly to himself. I eventually forgot about opening that restaurant. Mercenary work was hard, but familiar. Familiar in what ways? Back in Svobodia, I used to be a boxer, one of the common entertainment for us, and a skilled native to bartenders to protect against rowdy customers. Instinctively, he touched the back of his head, wincing only slightly at some phantom pain. I was given proper combat training while I was in the academy. Not a necessarily easy feat when you fought fists against swords and spears. You actually fought against blades with your fists? Yes, it was not uncommon in Svobodia either. The daily drunk with a shiv, broken bottle, or just their claws. But the Gallanteers are far more trained than your average Svobodian drunk. If maybe less sturdier. It took some time for the other two to get used to seeing me jump into battle using just my fists. Max always stayed behind with his crossbow, while Ryan and I took the front line with his daggers. That's dangerous! You're right. It was very reckless to have us both there. I suppose I came to learn that lesson the hard way. Kody? You could say it wasn't any more dangerous than it was in Svobodia. Not many of us could use focus stones. Mostly raw strength would have come to rely on. And so magic wasn't a common thing for the working class. When I got my focus gem, well, it took some getting used to for my powers. As I imagine you did too when you learned yours. Now it was your turn to look away, remembering nearly blowing Alex's lab sky high. After that, I would always go into battle with reckless abandon. With earth armor, barriers, and a ranged attack of my own, I felt unstoppable. It was almost intoxicating as Auntie Brun's mead. Kody set aside the pan and wooden spoon for a moment to flex and pose. Alex was not impressed when he first joined us. Cody's body froze as all the mirth was drained from his body, posture going slack as he avoided eye contact with you again. He realized that one of the pans was starting to burn, turning his full attention to the pots from the trip down memory lane. You noticed you only had half a sliced onion in your hands and decided to keep cutting. You continued working diligently, not as fast as Kody, but still enough to keep up with his needs for the dishes. When you looked up, you noticed that he's been watching you as you worked. When did you get so good at handling knives? What are you talking about? You taught me how to cook, Kody. It was you. Huh, I suppose you aren't wrong. You really are a quick study, Cassian. Well, I had the best teacher. With the side dishes prepared and set aside, Kody sat back down, seemingly collecting himself after the conversation. After a moment, you've gathered enough courage to speak up again. So, you and Ray used to be together, right? Yes, I guess you could say that. We, did have history together. Ray had taken an interest in me since I had joined the academy from the start. We had met when I was still training in the academy. I was held back a year due to the language barrier and being unable to understand the field lectures they gave. Field lectures? Yes, something mandatory for all new recruits. Is that so? You were quite the exception, Cassian. Though that is unsurprising given your unique circumstances. Normally you are put through the scholar and physical courses with the guild's trainers to be assigned a role in a team. Alaric assigned me specifically to Max and Rye's team. Right. Were you and Ray dating by then? No, I don't think Master Alaric would have put us together if he knew that. So how did you start dating? Officially, only some time after Alex had joined the team. But we did things before then. Things? The bear scratched at his cheek sheepishly as they grew redder. Yes, you've seen how Rye can be and the way he makes so many sexual comments. He has always been that way ever since I met him, though I'll admit, it was far more intense towards me in those days. He had taken an interest in you. Yes, during training and later after missions, he would always make jokes and remarks like that. He was utterly relentless. He stopped for a moment to take a shuddering breath. Did you like the attention? I'd be lying if I said I didn't. He always had a way of making me feel special, like I was supposed to be here. Sounds like you two were very close. Very close. Extremely close. He was always very open about his intentions with me, always looking for me after missions, after practice, or stopping by the honeysuckle. Even back then you'd go there, huh? Yes, you know my history with the place well enough by now. In our private quarters or in a moment to ourselves, he was always affectionate. Despite my appearance, Rye was always eager to bring me to his room or spend the night in mine, spending the day in his garden or walking about the greenhouse at night. And I was always happy to share my hobbies and meals with him, sharing stories from back home. Even if I didn't get to open that restaurant, someone still appreciated my cooking. It sounded like you two were doing well together. How did it all go wrong? Kody stopped again, directing his attention over to the cookery, beginning to take them off the fire as they finished cooking. Kody looked up to you for a moment, catching you almost burning the sauce. Careful, Cassian. Campfires aren't as reliable as kitchen burners. He gingerly took the saucepan from your hand, stirring quickly to prevent it from burning towards the bottom. You gave him a look of concern as his own expression sulked, knowing you've caught on to his stalling. Wordlessly, he kept stirring until the sauce seemed ready, before storing them away with everything else. Oh my god. The silence is gonna kill me! Pop! Crackle. Snap! Snap, crackle, pop. He left with the crackling of the fire as the only sound between you as you finished preparing the cold sides. His movements were becoming far more agitated, alternating between squaring his shoulders and slumping with heavy sighs. He looked to you warily, searching your features for judgment of all you've heard. You gave a firm nod, letting him know you're listening. Go ahead, Kody. 2 years ago, we were sent on a delicate escort mission to deliver supplies for the Aegis Mining and Fabrication Company. The same one in the city? The very same. It was a routine mission, deliver the traders to the market and bring them back with their cargo intact. Alex was with us. He was beginning to get the gist of mercenary life, though you could tell his passion was always with crystals. The whole time he was talking our ears off about their uses and the benefits these imports could do for the city. Max only ever cared about the mission at hand. He was taking point, leading the caravan hooves at the front. The only thing on his mind was the feast that we were promised on delivery. Rye and I were taking the rear, bragging and flirting with one another. The escort had been generally uneventful. The Aegis company had taken pains to ensure the route wasn't intercepted, but they spared no expense. Alright, y'all, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!